Welcome to MCC Made, the official podcast of Metropolitan Community College.
Giving you a backstage pass to all things MCC with your hosts, Emma Frazier and Catherine Riggs.
I have something I need to discuss with somebody that I think that you will hopefully be on the same page
Okay.
as me.
Okay.
Sourdough bread and people in their sourdough starters.
Oh, okay. Okay, here's the thing. I do love sourdough bread.
Sure.
I hate how now everyone is like, I'm a baker because they have a sourdough starter.
And then they name them something stupid.
they have to feed them.
And they're like,
I know that's literally how you take care of a sourdough starter.
but-
but you don't have to name it.
Okay,
It's not that funny to name it.
No, it's so stupid. I just get so mad. Again, if you love your sourdough starter and love making sourdough,
Good for you.
And you knock on the bottom to make sure it's hollow and do all the great. I love that for you. I'm so glad that fills your time.
I will take the sourdough off your hands.
Great,
honestly.
Yes. If I see one more person just like talk about their sourdough like it's a child, I might actually lose my mind.
Yeah. When they're like, oh, I've neglected it. I'm like, it's a sourdough starter.
Okay, so then you have people that like, I mean, again, baking is a science, 1,000%.
Which is probably why I don't love it.
I love baking. I love baking. But like, I mean, people, I think what bothers me about sourdough is people get like in the comments of these videos, they're like, you're not doing it right. It's needs. I'm like, do you think everyone's grandmas was making sourdough and like, they just made it.
They just did it.
Like
With no fanfare.
Everyone freaking relax.
Everybody calm down. My sister just recently found out that she is allergic to sourdough and like like yeasty breads.
Yikes.
And so that's been a real crushing blow because she was eating a lot of like sourdough toast for a while and was not making the connection that that's what was making her like break out.
Oh no.
I know. It's a sad loss.
That is unfortunate.
It's a tough day.
It's just funny to me to like watch some of these people. There's a person we mutually follow on social media who
It's true.
who just
I had a feeling that's maybe what brought this
well,
on.
I mean, I've been thinking about it for a while, but this then did
Years.
prompt for
The years I've been with her, and by with her I mean following her on Instagram.
Yeah. Anyway, the thing that kills me again is everyone makes such a big deal about their starter and like you have to proof it first. Like they like feel like
You gotta let it rise.
And
I overproofed it.
and then they're always like, oh, I don't know if this is going to turn out. And guess what? It always
does.
turns out. And I'm like, why are we doing this?
Why?
Of course I've seen people whose sourdough has not turned out, but they are self-proclaimed people who don't know anything about baking. And so
Correct.
it's like, oh, I mean,
Maybe don't start with sourdough.
maybe not.
Maybe just make some sugar cookies.
Yeah. And then the people that have like literally like gallon jars of starter, I'm like, what are you doing?
Then they give it to people.
Yeah. And then they kill it on their,
They kill it.
they kill it because it's living.
They let it go.
Yeah. And then you have to like discard stuff. And then people are like, oh, I made discard crackers. I'm like, do you know how disgusting that
Sounds gross.
Yes.
Trash crackers. You made trash crackers.
Like,
I'm not eating
it's so
those.
good. And they're like, oh, but if I let it overproof, it might be too sour. I'm like,
Let's not.
I'm tired.
I think I say that once an episode. I am so tired of just the self-importance of people with a sourdough starter also.
Yeah. I mean, you're better than me. Great. Good for you, I guess.
Woo-woo.
Sorry, I'm spending my days watching Traders instead. I don't know.
My God. I'm spending my time much more valuably.
Right. Yes, I am. Yeah. And again, there are people who have the gallon container of sourdough starter, but then they're like bringing them to farmers markets and like selling them.
Okay.
And I'm like, great. Good for you.
I guess, because people will like just bake a loaf of sourdough and be like, I think I'm going to sell it. And I'm like, but why would I buy it from you?
Yeah.
I don't know. We probably sound like terrible people, but Like, I don't know. It's not that
If you are an
important.
amateur baker,
And by amateur, we mean you just have a sourdough starter in your
and you've started
kitchen.
it since 2020 when
Yeah.
you got really bored during the pandemic, which again, we all
did things then.
we all needed something to hold on to. I understand.
I baked during that time, which I never do. I didn't get a sourdough starter. Don't
Right.
get me wrong.
But like, I need all of you to, before you think, like, maybe I should sell this, give it to your friends first
yeah,
and like get some feedback.
maybe just gift it.
And then like if the demand comes to you where people are now hounding you for sourdough,
Yeah.
then maybe that is your sign that you can then branch out and start to sell it.
Yes.
But yeah. I just can't.
I just
can't.
can't. I just can't.
And I have a good friend who has a sourdough starter.
Who might be listening.
She's not, but that's fine.
She might be now.
Well, maybe I'll tell her that we talked about her.
In a very positive
Yes,
light.
Kylie, you were exempt from this because
Because we love your sourdough starter.
well, this is the thing. She doesn't talk about her sourdough starter. Like she's just like, oh, I made some sourdough. Or, oh God, I let my sourdough starter
That all sounds normal.
like, yeah. It's
That
like,
sounds like a normal behavior when you are a sourdough starter owner.
correct.
Which again sounds like you have a pet.
Right. Like if
It's like a chia pet
I would be shocked if
because it grows.
Right. Kylie has 3 kids. I'd be shocked if she has named this sourdough. That would actually shock me.
Maybe her children have.
Maybe her kids have, but like she's not talking about it.
Yeah.
Oh God, what like people I'm gonna look up some sourdough starter names that people have made. I'm just like, it actually
Grinds your gears.
I shouldn't yuck people's yum, literally, but like yuck. Literally on Google, it's one of the top searches is sourdough starter names. So
That has me really annoyed.
okay, yeah. So again, somebody that I follow, Edgar Allan Doe, Jane Doe, Wheatney,
No, because that took me like a second to think about.
Brad Pitt.
Okay. Now, hang on. Now, you reading these is maybe making me change my mind on them. I might be live on air changing my tune.
This was Adam Levine.
Oh, like Levain bread.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
Hercules. Yeast at the end of Hercules.
Oh, Hercule. No, I don't like that one. Next.
Leonardo da Vinci. That seems cheap.
Yeah.
Someone on here is just sourdough bread, and that I respect.
Yeah. You know what? That was their born given name.
Oh my God, sourdough Domingo.
Sourdough Domingo.
They really doubled down on the dough. Sourdough
Why wouldn't they just do
Domingo.
sour Domingo?
because they're dumb. Bread Sharon.
Okay. Okay, and here is
Oh my God, Carrie Bradshaw.
okay. Okay, again, live on air, you might be changing my tune on these. For the millionth episode in a row, I am calling out to culinary. If anyone in culinary is listening, this is really just a test to see if you are. If anyone in culinary in baking production is listening to this and you have thoughts on sourdough starters and the like the sourdough starter community out there that has become what they are, please call us.
Yeah.
Again, we ask you guys a lot of questions, and we have a list of answers we're waiting on.
Again, Brian O'Malley, you will be hearing from me again.
Brian O'Malley, you will be hearing from us again.
Okay, now actually, the lower I get on the list, the better
The more unhinged.
the better they are. Bread Lasso,
Okay.
Clint Eastwood,
Yeah.
David Dowie,
Yeah, all right. All right.
And then Dolene, which I think is very funny.
Oh my God. Yeah, I think I might be turning a new leaf.
Maybe it's just the people involved that really.
Maybe it's because I love a pun.
Again, I think if they just weren't so insufferable about everything else, I could be like, sure.
Yeah. Like if you just did it quietly and I found out organically what your sourdough starter was.
Went to your house and I saw your sourdough starter and it did just have like a tape on it that said Dolene on it. I'd be like, that's funny.
Good.
That's funny.
That's good. I'd like to try your sourdough, actually.
All right. Today on the podcast, we have Jim Champion and Corey Lynch, who both work in our sponsorship programs. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'll start with Jim, just because.
Because he's older.
Sure. Yeah. Age before beauty.
I was going to say that.
Jim, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and then how you got to the college?
You bet. Grew up in Omaha, in South Omaha specifically. So went to high school at a high school actually that didn't offer trade-related training. So senior year of high school, I was able to take a class at Metro Community College and really found my vibe at that point. Just was really fortunate to get that opportunity because it showed me I need to work with my hands and get into a trade. So I did. I got into automotive-related training out of high school at Metro Community College. Went into the collision program, which at that point was in the Mule Barn out here on the Fort Omaha campus.
Cool.
That's how old I am. Yes.
Wow. Was it Metro Tech at that time?
I think it was. Yeah. Doing it all for you.
Yeah.
I remember the tagline.
All for you.
Yeah. I'm not
That's
singing
right.
it, but I remember it. So then took some automotive technology classes as well. And like many people, went to work before I got my associate degree
Sure.
at Charlie Graham at 42nd and Leavenworth. After working there for about 4 years as a collision tech, I got the opportunity to buy the shop. So,
wow.
And then I owned it for about 30 years and sold it 8 years ago and came back to home, which was Metro Community College.
So full circle.
Yeah, full circle for sure. And even during when I was at the shop, I took a lot of classes at Metro related to business management, accounting, those sorts of things. So Metro's been really my home for all kinds of training and classes over all the years. So after I came back to Metro and went to work here, then I finished my associate degree.
There you go.
Yeah, like 40 years later. So, and here I am, pathway coordinator. So that's my story.
Yeah. Corey, what about you?
So yeah, I grew up in North Omaha, going to Kellum and Yates, actually elementary, which is so cool to see how that building has now been, changed and
That's
how
very cool.
the community really wrapped itself around that building and really prevented it from being destroyed. And to see it used now for a lot of our refugee resources has just been it's really cool. And I'm really proud to have been one of the last students that had attended that building before it kind
That's
of got used in a variety of other fashions. But yeah, no, I've been at Metro for about 7 years. Came when the new buildings at Fort Omaha were built in 2017. So when we built the Center for Academic Support and the CEC, our Construction Education Center, and the CATE, it was just a really great opportunity coming from the special education field to get into community college. And being from Omaha, born and raised, I just really love giving back to this city, especially the North Omaha community in particular. Even one of my aunts used to work with the Navy here before the college existed.
Cool.
So just I had those attachments. I never attended Metro. I went to Central, then I went to Lincoln, and then came back to Omaha after graduating with an education degree. And just really see this job as both a service to the community and a way to just engage and use my talents that I think I have for making students feel comfortable and welcome and really seeing them for who they are and what their goals are. At the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do is help these students make it through, get these jobs, and in turn help Omaha.
Right.
Yeah.
So can one of you explain what our sponsorship for the trades program is?
You bet. It's really a program that's a pathway for, it's two-pronged. So workforce needs with our industry partners are very high, and they've changed immensely in the past even 10 years. Trying to find somebody with the skill set that you need to replace people who are retiring from your company is getting harder and harder all the time, and everybody knows that. So trying to find somebody that's already at the skill level that you need to come over and work for your company, it's not impossible, but it's super hard. So what sponsorship does is works with either it's existing employees that they already have, but many times maybe it's a Metro student that's not working somewhere yet, or maybe it's somebody that's coming out of high school that we can start their career path with the company that has the workforce needs. So we connect those dots between everybody. And a sponsorship program in a nutshell is that company bringing somebody on board, either part-time or full-time, and then going to school at Metro, either part-time or full-time, with the understanding going forward that they're going to work for the company long-term. It's nothing like an internship where you work for them for a little while, then you go find another job. The intent is to have them come on board with that company and be a long-term employee with that company. In return for that, the company pays for their training, and they can pay for whatever they'd like. Many times they pay for everything. Tuition,
Amazing.
books, fees, everything. Sometimes they just pay for tuition, but it's up to each individual company what their sponsorship program looks like. In some cases, they have that student sign a contractual agreement with them saying, I agree to stay with you for a period of time after I complete my training, or I need to pay you back. Or if I fail a class, I need to pay you back. So that protects the company to some extent. But some companies are finding it to be so successful that they aren't even requiring the student to sign that sort of agreement anymore.
Yeah. We, our first episode of this podcast, we actually talked to Hannah from Logier about their partnership with MCC and their sponsorship program. So it's fun to hear MCC's piece of that equation. What kind of industries are we partnering with?
Well, at least at the Fort Omaha campus, we have a lot of relationships with smaller plumbing and electrical contractors. And so through our electrical and plumbing apprenticeship programs, these students are kind of working full-time during the day. And over a span of actually 4 years, we think of associate degrees as 2 years. But
Right.
the way that this is planned out for them is to kind of overlap the on-the-job hours that they're achieving while also simultaneously learning about the content that they're going to be needing to take on their journeyman tests at the end of that 4 years. So for a lot of these companies, the end game is for them to become a journeyman.
Right.
Right. And that allows for that company to then also get more apprentices because you need a ratio on the job site for safety and for different regulations that comes through. Otherwise, other programs that we have students in is our construction management, HVACR, so HVAC. And we also have a few within our surveying and civil engineering technicians and architecture design technicians. These might be, the folks that are still working in architecture firms or engineering firms, but they're more on the design side and in terms of knowing how to use the software that these companies actually use, things like Revit and AutoCAD. I kind of give the analogy. They're a little bit like the nurse to the doctor. In many ways. So there's still a support role, but they're expected to actually know a lot more about the software that they're using and to support those architects and engineers. And then, Jim also has a variety of programs at the South Campus.
You bet. Automotive and manufacturing are most of the trade-related programs that we have at the South Campus that are in Logier is a perfect example. And I do want to give them a shout out because they really were the front runner on a lot of these sorts of ideas in the sponsorship type program. And they've been very open and for other companies to kind of use their template because they're willing to share. And I think that's just really neat. So
Yeah.
They got it all started probably, 10 years ago, I bet.
I was going to ask kind of when this all got rolling.
Yeah, yep. That's when Logier started theirs, was right in that time range. And now in the past, 4-5 years or so, it's really been ramping up. And what we find really is there's no lack of companies really with an interest in maybe sponsoring a student.
Right.
The issue comes with finding a student to sponsor sometimes because so many of our students are already employed with
Right.
somebody,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's already a sponsorship type of situation. So from the industry side, I tell them, a sponsorship program overall has been super successful, but it is a lot of work on your side. It's not a matter of just coming in and saying, hey, give me a student.
Yeah.
I'll
Writing a
sponsor them
check.
and let's go.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work on their side too to recruit. So everybody has to really step up to make it function and be successful.
Yeah. So we've been talking a lot about dual enrollment. Does, as part of that recruitment tools, do you see a lot of our dual enrollment students eventually participating in this program? Or how does that, what is there a connection? And if so, what is that?
Sure. I think for one example, for the company that I work with, SOS HVAC and Heating, really John has been so open to accepting the Career Academy students that are coming in their high school days, usually 1 to 3 in the afternoon. They'll spend the morning at their high school, and then they'll come onto the Fort Omaha campus where we have our labs. And, a benefit of that is to the employer is you've got a kind of fresh clay, right? You've got this new student that doesn't have the bad habits yet.
Right.
And so many of these, young folks are really wanting to work.
Right.
They see this as not just an opportunity to learn more about HVAC, but they want money. They
Right.
got things to do,
yeah.
and places to be. So I think that's been a really cool experience where some of those companies really do want those high school students because the opportunity to really shape them into the culture of their company provides a lot of that opportunity down the line to come back and to see other students. And other ways we engage industry partners too is some of them will be willing to say, hey, we would like to be an adjunct teacher. And that's another way that those companies can kind of see the students as they're coming through the classroom. So it's kind of another aspect of it that we might not control as a sponsorship program, but it's another way we can get industry into the classrooms, being a part of Metro, seeing the connection between what our programming does and the training that it gives for future employees that they need.
I have been trying to, I know we have a term for it and I can't think of it, but we do have like committees that we talk with our business partners or local businesses to make sure that our curriculum.
Advisory boards.
Thank you. I was
Advisory
like,
boards.
committee is not it. I was like, but I'm stuck on committee. An advisory board. Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have all these advisory boards that really help shape what that curriculum.
It's those
It's a
words
tough
with
word.
R's today.
Yeah.
She's struggling.
struggling.
R.
That really helps shape our curriculum. Do our business partners, how many of them are typically in those advisory councils? All of them?
Yeah,
Some of them?
Yeah, probably all of them that are doing a sponsorship type program are on an advisory
think so.
board in one way or
Majority, for
another.
sure.
And that's an important aspect of Corey and myself. Our role is it's not just a matter of every once in a while we are checking in with industry partners and that sort of thing. We are constantly in relationships with all of our industry partners, our students. Again, this is work. There's things that just need to be done every day, and sometimes it's just a matter of, I shouldn't say just, it's a matter of communication.
Yeah.
We all know communication is everything, really, to be successful at anything. And many times it may be an industry partner who just has a question. Heck, it could be on books or an issue that came up, or next quarter, I need my person to work these hours. Is this class available at night? I mean, it's just nonstop. Corey can attest to the same thing, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's like describing us as the yellow book for these industry partners, right?
wow.
And some of your listeners may not know what yellow books are.
That's what's called a phone book.
Right.
And it used to just appear on
I
your
think
doorstep.
these two don't know.
Yeah, the yellow pages are the businesses. The white pages are the people.
Yes.
Straight to recycling it
Yeah.
goes.
Or you use it as a doorstop or to step up on something.
Tinder for your fireplace, or whatever it might be. But it's just our way of being like that account rep because for those of us that are at Metro, we know this is a big institution.
Huge.
Right? There are so many different branches, which is so cool about it, right?
Yes.
But from the outside, if you're an industry partner, who do I go to? How do I access these resources? And there are some other things going on in the college where we're trying to establish an employer hub where we can have a one-stop shop. In many ways, right now, it's just like Jim was talking about. It's the relationships, the communication. Even if we might not be that exact service they're providing, we are at least the conduit to get them to that right person. So we also work with our career experiences side, things like Tyler Cannon and Mervin, that team who does a lot of our job fairs and get these other industry partners to come in. Our meet and greets where we have 90 plus different employers coming for 2 hours twice a year to talk to our students. And, it's really great because a few of our academic programs also have built-in internships. So while it's not quite that, commitment that a sponsorship is asking for, some of them can get in the door through our academic program internships, seeing they like this student, we're going to sponsor them. We'll pay for the rest of their degree. Or here's another opportunity where we can get into the classroom as an adjunct teacher and really engage with our population that way.
I just think it's really incredible that I feel like these sponsorships really can open a door for so many students.
Yes, I was just thinking the same thing.
Who might not have been able to afford to go into one of these programs. Again, not that, we're a community college. It's not like we're absolutely not the most expensive college in the state by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
However, even at a community college price, that might price people out.
Right.
And so I think that is really, it's incredible that we have these relationships with these businesses, that they're willing to take on what could be a risk for them if a student either doesn't stay with them or whatever.
It is a risk. There's no doubt about it. Yeah.
I just think that's really great. And when we were talking with Hannah from Logier, she, the thing that stuck out to me about that was she was like, of course we would love these people to stay with us forever. Right. She's like, but also I'm happy if they stay in the industry in the area. She goes, and they might come back to us eventually.
Yeah, at a higher level even.
So I think I'm sure not all businesses can afford to have students leave and come back, but just knowing that you've made that relationship with a student and a future employee or somebody who might want to buy into your business later is invaluable.
Definitely.
And what industry has found too is that when you are supporting a student/employee like that, the chances of them staying with you are much higher than if you're not doing that sort of program with them. They see that the company cares about them, they're investing in them, and that means a lot to that employee. So while it's not perfect by any means, but it's I think that's a big part of the successful background of sponsorships is when the company is investing in the person like they do, they're more inclined to stay because they realize this company cares about me and wants me to be successful with them.
Mm-hmm. And it's just nice that they get to work at that business.
Yeah.
Like you're forming a relationship. It's not like they're just like some abstract, oh, this business is paying for my school, but I really don't know.
You don't get into it until you're done. Like your boots on the ground in it.
Well, that's a big part of the success of what they learn when they're in school. For them to leave school and then go and apply what they're doing at work immediately, every single day when they leave class, how quickly they ramp up into a qualified tech, there's no comparison.
And that's got to build confidence too. Like,
Totally.
I feel confident walking into this building and knowing like, I know what to do when I get here and I'm pretty good at it and getting better at it.
And there are some students that will be full-time working and still commit to full-time school. I have a few of those in that situation because they also just want to get it done. And but they're also, like we were saying, they're able to apply that skill almost immediately in their workplace, which is just another really cool thing. And then, I think to your point, the community and the industry really supports each other, even when we recognize that competition exists.
Yes.
So last week we held our, between NAWIC, which is the North American Women in Construction, last week was the Women in Construction Week, so there's all these amazing events.
Yeah.
We hosted a luncheon with them, and one of the things that the panelists, Ashley Kuhn from Blair Freeman, I'll shout out Blair Freeman because it's an amazing company.
Do you guys listen to this podcast?
No, I haven't yet, but I'm going to now.
Okay, gotcha. But also, no, but we love a shout out on here. And you guys have both shouted out already, and I'm very excited about it. So sorry, go ahead.
No, you're okay. Yeah.
But also, maybe listen to a couple episodes.
I did just get caught. Walked right into that one.
Didn't even hesitate. No.
I got to check my podcast app right after this. Guilty.
After we promised you there was no gotcha questions, and then Catherine just 1-2 punched you. Wow.
This was in the Outlook description of the event. There would be no gotcha questions.
I had to do it. Okay, I'm sorry. You were about to say something very nice, and I cut you right off at the legs. So
it's all good. But their idea was that women are going to support women in this field.
Yeah.
Even we want to help each other, even if we might be competitors. There's still this holistic attitude. And the thing I got from the event was, if you're a woman in construction and you need help, here are like 25 different companies, and any of these people would be willing to give you their phone number and talk about what the opportunities are. And I think especially with women in construction, the ever increasing amount of percentage of women in construction is only going up at this point.
Yeah,
and,
girls.
Exactly, girl power. And so that support is there, and I think that that's latent within the community. And I think you look at Omaha just in general with the amount of development that the city is going through in the last
Constantly.
10 years and in the future 10 years, that's only going to increase. And we see the big companies, right? The Logiers, the Kiewits. But I think the sponsorship program has a lot of space for these mom and pop companies too, right? And to your point, the affordability of these is actually not as much of a barrier as you would think for companies. Of course, there's a risk involved, but I think if you're sending them to another institution in this state, it's only going to be a higher price and maybe not as many hands-on classes. I'll give you one example. We tend to see a lot of students at UNO going through their construction management program and getting a wonderful bachelor degree and immediately coming back to our associate degree program because we are the ones that are building a house inside of our building. Right? There's some of that level of tangible skill there that I want to shout out because we've built 8 different houses since 2017 that have gone into the Northeast Omaha community.
That's so cool.
That's amazing.
It's so cool.
And then we've got, we're a part of building 16 of the tiny houses that are down at the Sienna Francis shelter, some of that transitional housing that's helping folks down there. So I think Metro is so in tune with its community.
Yeah.
And these large industry partners are in tune with what we need to do for that community. And I don't know, it's just so great to be at a place that recognizes that and activates that without a lot of waiting.
Yes.
I think the urgency is also largely present in a lot of these projects because of that.
It also makes it fun to work here when you can brag about like all those cool things that we're doing.
Absolutely.
And you're like, I have a hand in that. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
It really is. Yeah.
So, Adam, this is the new you?
That's me. With my degree in 3D animation, I'll be ready for the next level.
Chris, you sure got a lot
Drive? You know it. I'll be a certified power sports technician in less than a year.
Hey, Jackson, what do you see?
Me as a first responder when I get my degree.
Hey, Mia, did you hear?
I can knock out my gen eds before transferring to university.
Saving time and money. Get up to speed on your me time. Classes start March 7th. Get started at mccneb.edu/me.
One of the other really fun things that this program does is signing day. I have been multiple times, and it's fun to watch every time. Explain to everybody what signing day is.
Signing Day is a celebration, and it celebrates students who are coming into a sponsorship program and the industry partners who are sponsoring them. So kind of twofold. So this year's will be coming up in late April, I think the 23rd.
You got it.
Okay. Wednesday the 23rd, 4:30 to 6 o'clock at the South Omaha campus. So it's really fun more than anything. And I try to get that across to industry partners too. This is not a formal event where you need to dress up and everybody's uncomfortable. Look at the pictures from, we have people coming straight from work sometimes. Or work.
Yeah.
And in fact, I encourage that. Wear your work gear when you come up on stage. This is about pride in the trades and celebrating the trades. So it's really a neat event. They bring their families. They might stand behind them. But the idea is we go company by company, and the company's logos go up on the big screens behind them. They come up on, come up on stage. They sign. We have a document up on stage. It's kind of,
Ceremonial.
Ceremonial. Thank you
You're
for
welcome.
filling in that blank. I would have been here all morning. It's ceremonial more than anything. They come up, they sign on the line. We give them an MCC baseball cap. They look up. We've got people from industry, where they're working are behind them. If family wants to come, they get up behind them. We take pictures. The place goes crazy, and then the next group comes up. And every industry partner has the opportunity to come up and speak at the podium when it's their time to come up. So they get to give a little blurb about their company and what they do. But more than anything, again, I just want to emphasize it's a celebration. It's a fun time. and hopefully people will come and attend.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like when high school seniors are signing on to a college for
That's exactly,
sports.
yeah.
But you get a job out of it.
Yeah.
Oh, you do, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And it deserves to be celebrated just as much.
It does.
Yeah.
And I hear that a lot, especially that night, and especially with family members. You can see with tears in their eyes sometimes because they're so excited for whoever it is who's signing, the opportunity they're getting. To the prior conversation that was going on here, many times they would not have had that opportunity if it wasn't for the sponsorship program. So the families are thrilled. The person signing is thrilled. So it's just a neat event.
It's fun because it's also like to think that maybe without that sponsorship, somebody with like a natural talent to these industries like would otherwise not be able to do that is like, it's so nice that we're there to help those students. And then it's nice that then we're like, well, not only we're going to help you, we're going to really celebrate that. And I don't think every college or every school in general does that. Because usually when you're entering a trade like that, you're not thinking like, okay, I'm going to get this big celebration for what I'm doing. So it's just like a fun, unique thing that we do that I really enjoy every year.
Yeah, I think it's long overdue that the trades are celebrated. But I'll tell you what, there's a big surge of momentum across the country, and I tell people this all the time because people say, man, we got to get people into the trades more. And I say, you're right, because there's a huge opportunity there. And compared to the way things were 10 years ago,
Yeah.
I hear high school counselors talking about the trades. I hear parents talking about the trades. The momentum shift has been sizable in my mind with it's okay to go into the trades. And not only is it okay to go into the trades, I'm encouraging you, the parents, the counselors, that sort of thing, to go into the trades. So,
Well, Jim, if you have not listened to this podcast,
We know Corey hasn't.
It sounds like you do because we talk about that all the time.
And it's like giving them themselves a pat on the back too, right? Even on top of that, the fact that because they have to show up, right?
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's we can get the company involved, we can have these relationships, but it's about the student and are they engaging and are they staying and are they learning and are they growing? And I think that quality of it, when we add signing day, when we add a family, when we see the support, it's to remind them that they are not alone in this process. And I think in our society, we unfortunately tend to think sometimes you've got to pull yourself up. And while that is true to an extent, there's also community around you that is here to help support you. And while that may not always be so obvious, events like this, relationships that we create, that's all in that spirit of togetherness and of one MCC, if you will,
To go back to the student experience and working and all of those things, I think obviously this is a generalization and not everybody is the same, but a lot of people who work in trades love to do things with their hands. They like to be involved, and like the book work of it is blah, for lack of a better word. So I think this sponsorship program helps bridge that gap of like, okay, yeah, I have to do this coursework, but yeah, then after this, I'm going and I'm doing it. So it makes the book
applying
work
it
real,
Right?
And I think that I mean, I clearly don't work with my hands,
No.
because I'm not good at it. If I could, I would, but I'm not. But I think that that helps make those jobs real. I mean, again, reading it in a book is not for everybody.
Right. And that's where, a lot of our lab classes are situated on coming once, maybe twice a week for 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Right? And so, that first 45 minutes and an hour, they're going to kind of outline the book. We're going to have to do a little bit of that, but almost immediately we're reflecting that knowledge into the lab. So, some of the lecture classes are literally held within the commercial HVAC lab. They just pull a couple chairs and tables into it. Because the 10 HVAC
We're not going to be here that long.
Right, exactly. Right. We're going to turn that whiteboard away from you now. So, and them actually being able to engage it. So for our construction education center, we've got functional units where over a period of 10 weeks, they will start with no wires attached. And by the end of that, all of them are attached and we're turning the system on. And in an actual real life setting, and we can plant issues within those machines so that the same things they're going to run into in the field they can run into here practically as well. So it's just really neat the way that we can get creative with our technology that serves them as problem solvers once they get into the field.
once you get into gen eds too, and to your point about blah, yeah, that's not uncommon in the trades.
Yes.
So I could speak for myself. But Metro's done a great job of incorporating things that are, they're related to the trades in a communications class, in a math class, a human relations class.
Yeah.
So once they get into those sorts of classes, and we can kind of show them this is why this is relative to what you're doing. You need math to be able to, check different diameters on, all that sort of thing. And also communication and writing skills. If you're, as an example, an automotive technician, and you need to document what you've done on the person's vehicle to be able to document the amount of time you're charging the customer for that particular thing, if you don't have that skill set to be able to legibly put that down and hand it into your service advisor or service manager for them to then talk to the customer about it, that's less money that you potentially could make if you're commissioned, for one thing. If you can't explain why it took you 3 hours to do something, why would the customer want to pay for that 3-hour labor charge unless you can explain to them why you did? That's why it's so important to have all these different skills in, quote, gen ed type classes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why we tailor that. Like you mentioned, we have a technical mathematics, a technical writing, fundamentals of communication, because, of course, in some situations, you are working with people. Even if it is a hands-on thing, everyone's working with
Believe
people.
it or not, you've got to talk to people.
Exactly. But to alleviate that fear and to have them in the same classroom with other trade students, I think really goes a long way. I'll shout out another teacher, Khalid Banahani. He's done a great job of turning our technical mathematics program into something in which not only our trade students, but also there's a component of it for health students, that technical skill as well. So they get to kind of decide going in, well, what angle, what tract are you doing? And so we're just really making this a tailored experience where prior we might have made them go through a traditional math class. Maybe they got stuck in the developmental math before they even got to the math that they needed for the degree.
Right.
Here is this one and done math class that is applied. It is relative. Yes, you might not enjoy it right away, but we also have the math center. We also have the writing center. And so you're not just in the context of our one building, you're in the context of Metro Community College resources, which, are located at Elkhorn, at South, at Fort. They're all of our big locations, so that support is around them.
Yeah, I last winter I had my furnace went out, and so of course I'd have a tech come out, which is, bad for me, good for them, I guess. But I think there is, every customer is different, but I am a customer who likes to know what happened, what is going on. So if I don't have to call you back. What broke? Is this something I can troubleshoot on my own? Like, I'm asking so many questions.
Please explain it to me like I'm 5, in the office when he says that.
Yes.
But I do feel like that sometimes with those people.
And I think, if you don't have those communications classes where you're like, oh, I thought I was just going to be working on this HVAC and nobody was going to bother me. And you will, I'm sure, have customers that don't speak to you.
Also happy to,
couldn't be me. Clearly, I like to yap. But then also, besides just having to interact potentially with your customers, the math piece, they pulled out the iPad and had the invoice right there. It wasn't no billing. Obviously they have a billing department, but there was no they're not sending me a bill in the mail. So if I can't turn to them and be like, that math does not that's not checking out to me. Although again, I have a communications degree, so I'm also not.
Yeah, there's a reason.
I'm also the two of us will just be like, sounds good.
I don't have any further questions.
And my husband's like, what did you say?
Yeah, hang on. Yeah.
But I think I sometimes gen eds get a bad rap of oh God, they're just trying to gouge us for money, but it's
no, they are necessary.
Yeah,
they are necessary.
But I've had a lot of students that look at one specific category, humanities. You can take Spanish in that, right? And so a lot of us in the trades, learning multiple languages is really key. And there's a lot of individuals in the trades that speak different languages, whether it's French, Spanish. A lot of our refugee population comes in with their own culture. And that is what's really cool. I've seen so much more of an uptick of I do want to understand Spanish. I want to be able to communicate. And that's a great opportunity. So it's what you make of it. And for those that are listening, it's not like we make you do gen eds first. I think really really the philosophy is kind of, we're going to put you in the trades. We want to figure out
Yeah.
if that's what you want to do. Now, along the way, we're going to sneak those in. You
Yeah,
know, we might
but-
do a 2-to-1 ratio, but you know, if we get it done in that way, you're also not left with it at the end. You know?
Right.
So there's some strategic stuff that goes on with that, but we're not trying to scare you away. It's all in context of what we're trying to do and teaching you your trade.
And you know, it's important to note too with the sponsorship type program, that doesn't necessarily mean you're pursuing an associate degree.
Right.
They might be doing a career certificate. Again, a sponsorship program is whatever the sponsoring company wants to pay for.
Right.
So those years, another example, I'll go back to them. They've got some in their sponsorship for the trades program that are going through the full associate degree on the electrical mechanical side and the precision machine side. And then they also have kind of an internal training program, which is 5 classes in the electrical mechanical degree with no gen eds. So different companies do different things, just depending on what their needs are. So a sponsorship program, I just want to clarify, doesn't mean a company's paying for a full associate degree. If they just want them to take 5 classes because that fits the training needs for that company, that's absolutely fine. It's up to them.
Right.
Is there an industry that we don't currently have a sponsorship program with that you're like think would be advantageous for us to have?
You know, I've heard talk of some of the different program areas in the college, but I'm not, you know,
Yeah.
whether it's IT or business or that sort of thing. But I think we've got, as far as the course or the programs that I deal with at the South Omaha campus, if somebody wants to do a sponsorship program within any of those programs of study, we can easily put it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it is a partner. We're not telling the businesses what they need to do with their sponsorship program.
And that's a big part. Corey can follow up on this, but that's a big part of what we do. We go out and visit with that industry partner, see what their needs are, what their wants are, and then start going through the programs of study with them to say, okay, well, here's some courses in these different programs. Would you be looking toward the full associate degree, or do you just need some classes? And then they may have questions saying, well, what about this and that? And then we need to go back and talk to our instructors or maybe bring them into the loop and have them actually come down and tour at Metro and speak with the instructors. So.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to follow up with, getting the instructors involved, because I think, you know, one of my coworkers, Karen Rogers, shout out again, 40-year-old vet.
Shout out
She's
Karen.
been around. She is
Yes.
the ace. I'm sure if those are listening know who Karen is. But she says, you know, what we sell here is our teachers, right? Because ultimately that's who's teaching, right? You know,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word. And when we can get them involved in the process and they can have a little bit more of that communication and they can say, hey, you know what, I actually like you not only for your students, but do you want to come teach one class a night? You know, because we see your expertise, we see that you have value too, and that's building this other relationship. And, you know, to Jim's point, right, we're not forcing these companies to do anything they don't want to do. It can be an a la carte situation. It can be that career certificate, that certificate of achievement, or that degree, you know. And for those that are unsure what we're really saying there, I always kind of like to give the analogy that the degree is our dollar bill, right? That's the biggest thing that Metro offers. And then we have a certificate of achievement that's like 50 cents, and we've got our career certificates that are like 25 cents. So many times a degree on the way to that dollar bill, you can hit 25, you can hit 50.
Yeah.
So even if they're going for the
And
HVAC,
just stack 'em.
Right, stack them up. Right, exactly. Stacked credentials. And that's another thing that gives you some credibility when you're looking at jobs, maybe another pay increase when you have even those smaller certificates along the way. So we're being really intentional when we build our programs, even on that academic side, that's kind of included in that process.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it's really, you've mentioned it a couple of times that our business partners will come in and potentially teach some classes. I think our trades program are really great because most of the instructors worked in those trades.
Totally.
Like they didn't just go to school,
They're
learn how to
industry
do
vets.
it, and then they just turned around and went to teaching.
Yeah.
They've worked those jobs. They know what that is like.
Still might
And
do some
still
side
might.
gigs, you know. That's definitely out there.
Oh, yeah.
And like what a value to students to be able to hear firsthand what those experiences are like. Or again, in the classroom, you kind of have a quote unquote perfect environment of how things are supposed to go.
Sure.
But then to have that real R's are really hard for me to do.
She's going to get there. She's going to get there.
Wow. The real world experience of being like, yeah, in an ideal world, this transmission would work this way when you do this. But I have also had it where it has gone this way because I forgot to do
This.
X, Y, Z. And yeah, every job when you're in college, it's again, you think you know what you're doing, and then you go out, and then you are like, oh no,
Yeah.
oh no,
I needed more hands-on.
But yeah, I think having instructors that have lived it and or living it is invaluable.
And I think most instructors too are open to going to, maybe they worked at XYZ company for 30 years and came to Metro. They like going out and seeing these other companies too and how they do things, even though it's the same industry.
Yeah.
Everybody does stuff different. And sometimes there's different controllers, at one company compared to other companies. And that's what Jeff Blatchford is, one of our electrical mechanical instructors. So he knows the two main types of controllers, electrical controllers that are in different types of industry partner plants. So he likes going out and touring their plants before they start their sponsorship program, so he can see little things like that. What controllers are they using? What sort of equipment and machinery? What robotic type of product do they have? So then when he's teaching a class that has 12 in there, maybe 3 are from that company, 3 are from the other company, he can have it in his head. This is what's applicable to those 3,
Right.
and this is what's applicable to those 3 over there, and tries to tailor it that way.
I guess to kind of wrap things up, I know you mentioned that you're working towards kind of a centralized way of managing the sponsorship program. Is there anything else that you're like looking forward to or have coming up in the next? Well, we talked about the signing event,
Yeah.
which if you have
That's
not
a big
been,
one.
even if you don't have anyone signing, you can come and watch. It's very
Please, yeah.
So fun.
and that's at the end of April. You said
Yes.
okay. I'll find a date and we'll put it in. I'll put it in the description.
Wonderful. And people can reach out to me too if they have any questions too.
Yeah. Is there anything else coming up or anything that you guys are looking forward to in the next year or so or months?
Well, we have Construction Career Day and we have Automotive Career Day. I know that's going to
Oh,
be coming
yeah.
around the corner for Jim. That'll be in April as
April
well.
4th.
April 4th.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We haven't quite picked a day in the fall, but usually the fall is when we do Construction Career Day. So that's kind of high schools that come in. We get industry partners to, fill up even our parking lot with their, heavy equipment.
That
Maybe
day is fun.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
fun. Right. And then
When
we
you
also
get to
have,
scoop the basketball
yes.
up and put it in the trash can.
Exactly. I haven't done it
I
myself.
want to do that one time.
Well, I think I did. Well, last fall I did. I think it was the Manufacturing Career Day, and they put me on the welder, and it's just in the plasma welding, and it's terrifying.
Oh my God! It looks very cool, but it is
I'm
very
not trying to
scary.
dissuade anybody, but I was definitely shaking a little bit, and I have my very imperfect letter of C on my office.
my
and it's
God.
the nastiest looking letter. But
you did that.
But I did it, right? I did it. So those are some other events. We'll obviously work with the Women in Construction event again in next March. So that's always a really cool event too. Just kind of be a part of and see how Metro can help out. Anything I'm missing?
No, but it's neat to see industry. Again, I talked about earlier, we're always in contact with industry, but they are a true partner of Metro Community College. It's not like just every once in a while we reach out to them and they're over there and we're over here. We bring them on campus. They're at advisory board meetings. At Automotive Career Exploration Day, I'll probably have 20 or 25 industry partners there with their tables and talking to the high school students, not only trying to recruit, but answering questions related to the industry. Maybe somebody's 16 years old and they're not sure if it's for them. Industry partners are there to say, hey, here's a typical day, in
Right.
this sort of job, And
Does that interest you?
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess I get a great vibe having industry just tied in with Metro so tight like we do.
Yeah.
Very appreciative.
And
The
I know
vibes are
because,
good.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
vibes are real. And because sponsorship in the trades has gone so well, we are hearing some conversations about the different, what we call academic focus areas at the college, the AFAs. IT, I think, is really starting to pick up on that business. So, it's been a great model to at least just show what the potential interest is on the industry side and how, honestly, relatively easy it is to get involved in this process. So, feel free to reach out to Jim or myself. We'd be more than happy to, if you're a company listening right right now. Yeah, exactly. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll have our information in the description.
Yes.
You got it. I will
Right
add that
there.
to the description.
We would love to tour you and just show you around because we're really proud of what we have to offer.
Yeah, I think, again, the Nebraska Chamber has been saying that we want to stop talking about
Brain drain.
and start talking about brain gain. Which is
Slick.
which is good. Good. Yeah. You know what? I gotta hand it to him. That's good.
Yeah.
But I think that programs like this, and especially I can see the value in broadening the scope to different industries, really could help with that mission. So that's really exciting. Yeah. Well, that's all I had for you guys. Is there anything else you need to add before we wrap?
No, just thank you very much for having us out. It's
Appreciate
great
the
to get the word
It's
out.
been fun.
Yeah, thanks for coming
Yeah.
by.
It's been fun.
Yeah, you guys are good. I'm gonna have to listen to this podcast.
That's such a great idea.
Yeah, also do a few episodes.
Yeah. We got a backlog.
Good. That's how I like it.
MCC Made with Emma Frazier and Catherine Ricks. Produced by Emma Frazier. Production support by Herdat.
Got a question for us? Email mccmade@mccneb.edu, and your question may be answered on a future podcast.